les voy a explicar los objetos directos y sus pronombres. So, many times students have forgotten what a direct object is in English, and so I look at the direct object as the who or what receives the action of the verb directly. Okay? It generally does, the noun itself does follow the verb. Okay? So for example, Juan Carlos y Jimena están tomando fotos. So Juan Carlos y Jimena, they are our subject. Our verb is actually a compound verb of están tomando. And then we want to ask ourselves, what are Juan Carlos and Jimena taking? Well, they're taking photos. So that is my direct object. Okay? Now, when a direct object, noun in Spanish, is a person or a pet, it is preceded by the word a. And this is called a personal a. It actually has no meaning whatsoever in English. There's no English equivalent. But what it tells us as a listener or as a reader is that what's coming up is something that has been personalized. Okay? Usually a person, but again, many of us think of our pets as part of the family, and so we personalize our pets, like our children. And so we also want to use that personal a there. So if we see our two examples of Mariela mira a Carlos, so she's watching Carlos, or she's looking at Carlos, versus Mariela mira televisión, she's just watching TV. Okay? So a Carlos is telling me that Carlos is my direct object and that he's a person. Now, what I would like you to do here is pause the video as we go along, and I want you to identify what is the direct object of each statement. So you will actually have to physically pause the video to look at it. Okay? So number one is, do you have the book? Now think about it. What do you have? The book. Okay, so that is my direct object. Is Sandra going to invite me to the party? Now ask yourself, who or what is Sandra going to invite? Me should have been your answer. Okay, number three, do you practice the irregular verbs? What do you practice? So that is your direct object. Is Marcos looking for the key? So ask yourself, what is Marcos looking for? Okay, you want to ask the who or what. Do y'all want to study the grammar? So ask yourself, what do y'all want to study? The grammar. And so that would be your direct object in English. Okay? Now, the same kind of thing is going to happen in Spanish. Okay? Tienes el libro. Ask yourself, ¿qué tienes? What do you have? El libro. Me va a invitar Sandra a la fiesta. So, who is Sandra going to invite to the party? Me, a mí. ¿Practicas los verbos irregulares? Ask yourself, ¿qué practicas? ¿Qué practicas? What do you practice? ¿Está buscando Marcos la llave? Ask yourself, ¿qué está buscando Marcos? What is he looking for? And you should have come up with la llave. ¿Quieren estudiar la gramática ustedes? So you should ask yourself, ¿qué quieren estudiar ustedes? What do you want to study? La gramática. Okay? So we'll return to this exercise in just a little bit, but I just want to make sure that you are able to identify what the direct object is in English statements and then what it is in Spanish statements, because it's the same thing. The function has not changed. Okay, so if I scroll down here, direct object pronouns are just words that replace the direct object nouns. Okay, so like in English, we use it a lot. Okay, when we're talking about an object or them. Okay, in Spanish, uses direct object pronouns like English to avoid repeating a noun that's already been mentioned. Okay, so Maribel hace las maletas. Okay, we could also say Maribel las hace. Felipe compra el sombrero. Felipe lo compra. Okay, so with Maribel hace las maletas, she packs the suitcases. Or las hace, she packs them. And what is them? The suitcases. Felipe compra el sombrero, so he buys the hat. Okay, so he buys it. What is it? The hat. Felipe lo compra. Vicky tiene la llave. So Vicky has the key. Or Vicky has it. And it, meaning the key. Vicky la tiene. Okay, so you'll see that the pronouns that we use is me, te, lo, la. So it does matter if the object or person is feminine or masculine. Nos, los, or las. And again, the gender does matter. Now, in affirmative sentences, the direct object pronouns generally appear before the conjugated verb. So, Adela practica el tenis. So we will replace el tenis, because it's masculine and singular, with lo. So, goes right in front of the verb. Our verb is practica. Adela lo practica. Carmen compra los pasajes. So Carmen buys the tickets. Okay, what does she buy? Los pasajes. We're going to replace that, as it's masculine and plural, with los. So Carmen los compra. Okay, now if it's a negative sentence, the pronoun is placed between the word no and the verb. I apologize, this bothers me, so I am going to fix that. And fix this as well. Okay. So, Gabriela no tiene las llaves. So, we want to replace las llaves. Feminine plural, we're going to use las. So, Gabriela no las tiene. So, basically, in both cases, they go directly in front of the conjugated verb. Okay. However, we don't always have a conjugated verb. Okay. When a verb is in the infinitive construction, such as ir, a plus an infinitive, it can be placed before that conjugated form of ir or attached to the infinitive. So I look at it as if I have two verbs, I have two places to put it. So, ellos van a escribir unas postales. And so I really have, and I'm sorry I can't highlight it, but van a escribir is my verb phrase. So I think of it as I have two verbs, so my pronoun can either lead the verbs, las van a escribir, or it can kind of tag along at the end, van a escribirlas. Now, both are perfectly grammatically correct. Okay, there is no difference. Lidia quiere ver una película. So here I have quiere with ver, so I have two verbs, one conjugated, one not. So it can lead the verbs, Lidia la quiere ver, or Lidia quiere verla. And I just want you to be aware of both constructions, because it changes over time as to which people prefer to use. And I just want you to know what they are. So if, you may choose to always put it out in front. Las van a escribir, la quiere ver. That's fine, but I don't want you thinking if you read something and you read van a escribirlas, that suddenly you're like, I've never seen this word escribirlas. I want you just to know, like, oh yeah, I say it this way, but there is the other way. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now we also have learned the present progressive. So we have two verbs. We have our verb estar with the present participle that ends in ando or yendo in Spanish. And again, just like with the infinitives, if we have two verbs, it can lead the verbs. Like, Gerardo está leyendo la lección. We want to change la lección to its pronoun la. Gerardo la está leyendo. As opposed to Gerardo está leyéndola. Okay. If we have Tony está mirando el partido, Tony lo está mirando. Okay. Or Tony está mirándolo. Now I do want to point out that you'll see if when we attach the lo and the la to the yendo or ando, an accent mark appears. And I can go into a whole long explanation of why that happens. But it's easier to know that if I'm attaching it, it's going to be over the a in ando, and it's going to be over the e in yendo. And so that also gives us, like leer, that we have to make the change, where the accent mark will be there. Okay. So that's really all there is to direct object pronouns. So I am, going to scroll back up to these exercises. And what I would like you to do is, for part of your homework, just on a piece of paper, pause this video, and I want you to answer these questions. I've started you off because they're all yes/no types. So I've started you off. And I want you to replace all the direct objects with their pronouns and write a complete statement. Okay, I hope that's clear. And I want you to bring it to class on Tuesday, November 20th.